President Biden is focusing on health care today as the country remains hard hit by the coronavirus pandemic. The president will soon sign executive actions reversing anti-abortion rights policies. He's also expected to sign an executive order allowing healthcare.gov to open for a special enrollment period. The actions are part of the dozens Mr. Biden has signed in his first full week in office. Each day has had a theme, and today's theme is Healthcare Day. For more on this, I want to bring in CBS News Chief White House Correspondent Nancy Cordes. Hi, Nancy. Great to see you. So what more can you tell us about the particular executive orders President Biden will sign today?
So the big two that are getting a lot of attention, Tanya, have to do with Obamacare and with abortion. You know, over the past 4 years, President Trump, as everyone knows, took a very dim view on Obamacare, and he supported lawsuits that were aimed at dismantling it. And so his government certainly didn't want to provide any marketing to encourage Americans to sign up on the exchanges. They cut out all of the advertising that you would typically see every year, informing people about their options, informing them about open enrollment, which lasted usually about 6 weeks at the end of every year. And as a result, the rate of increase in enrollments dropped over those 4 years. Well, now, no surprise, President Biden, who was Mr. Obama's vice president, is looking to turn that around, in particular because so many people have lost their jobs as a result of the pandemic. So the executive order he's signing would open up a special enrollment period starting in mid-February that would last for 3 months for anyone at all who is looking to get health insurance. And it's estimated that there are about 15 million Americans who qualify for coverage on the exchanges who don't have any coverage right now, either because they lost their jobs due to the pandemic or because they simply didn't have any coverage in the first place. So that is one big executive order. You're also going to see a lot more marketing around open enrollment as they try to build those numbers back up again. The other executive order has to do with something called the Mexico City policy. This is something that's been around for decades. Typically, it's embraced by Republican presidents and then rejected by Democratic presidents, because what it says is that nonprofits that operate overseas can't get any federal dollars if they are providing abortion counseling to women in foreign countries. And so that's something that was in place during the last 4 years of the Trump presidency, and it will now be eliminated during the Biden presidency. So those nonprofits can begin to get federal dollars again. And you'll probably hear President Biden talk about a number of other measures that he is going to be taking to embrace family planning and a woman's right to choose. So that is what's on his agenda today. It's a big health care day, and you'll hear a lot of talk from the White House about how their COVID relief package that they're working on with Congress will also go a long way towards achieving a lot of his health care goals.
And Nancy, keeping along with the themes, the Biden administration was also planning to release a series of immigration plans as well, but we're now hearing this will be delayed. Do we know what is behind the delay and what was in the plans?
It's unclear why we're seeing this delay. You know, the White House has always warned that this was kind of a draft schedule and that things would be subject to change. It appears that they need just a little bit more time to get these executive orders together. Immigration obviously is very important to the Biden administration. They have very different views from the Trump administration on this front. For example, one of the executive orders has to do with reuniting families that were separated at the border. Those cases where children stayed in U.S. custody, but the parents were deported, and now there are hundreds of children who have been separated from their parents ever since. So that's one of the executive orders, to step up the efforts to reunite those families. And so it looks like that's not now going to come tomorrow, and we're still waiting to hear when those executive orders will be signed instead.
And Nancy, what is the status on Mr. Biden's COVID relief plan? The White House is pushing back on reports that his $1.9 trillion COVID relief package could be split into various pieces of legislation. Why is there talk surrounding this?
There's talk because there is such a deep divide among Democrats and Republicans on the Hill right now about the need for another COVID relief package, and if so, the size of that package. And because the Biden administration is still hoping that somehow they can bridge that divide, somehow they can get a big bipartisan win here, they're very sensitive to talk that perhaps they're just going to go it alone, or that they're going to split the package in two and pass something much smaller. That may be what they have to do at the end of the day. Those are both options on the table. In fact, House Speaker Nancy Pelosi just said that she's working on a go-it-alone package because she doesn't know whether these bipartisan efforts are going to work out or not. So that is waiting in the wings. It's always an option to split the two packages apart and try for something much smaller that would have bipartisan support. But the White House feels that they've just gotten started with these negotiations, and they're still going to try for some kind of bipartisan package before they move to Plan B or Plan C.
All right. Well, Nancy Cordes in Washington, thank you so much.
You're welcome.